What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down USC wide receiver and former five-star recruit ZACHARIAH Branch. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver or a quarterback and would like to train with us this offseason, we are traveling out to 5 more states across the country for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps. So if you guys are local to any one of these cities, Austin, Seattle, Newark, Denver, or Los Angeles, check out that very first link in the description below where you can sign up. But also, fellas, if you are a quarterback or wide receiver coach, we are having a QB and wide receiver coaching clinic this July. So check out the very first link in the description below for information on our coaching clinics as well. Let's get started with this video. So the whole purpose of this video is to showcase what, college coaches, Power 5 college coaches are looking for in wide receivers at the next level, right? And this first play here is from ZACHARIAH Branch's film. This is from state championship game, highest possible level of competition. And you see him make these types of plays where he catches a swing, catches a bubble screen, is able to turn this thing up with speed, make people miss. He has great change of direction skills. And this is what a college coach wants to see on film. He pretty much outruns the entire defense. Now, what would you describe this as? I would describe this as an explosive play. And that is what every single college wide receiver coach, every single college offensive coordinator wants in their wide receivers. When you think about the wide receiver position, think about just how many wide receivers are on a team, right? Probably, 4 on the field if you guys are in a spread offense. You probably have 4 backups. Now think about every single team in your league. Now think about every single team in your state. Then think about every single high school team across the country. They all have about 8 wide receivers. It is one of the most crowded positions there is. And I guarantee you on every single one of those teams, the best wide receiver is probably a good pass catcher. He probably runs decent routes. He's probably decently fast. So what's going to make you stand out to be able to play at the next level? And it's these types of plays. Now, Zach Branch went to one of the best schools in Nevada. He went to Bishop Gorman. I'm sure everybody has heard of that school at least one point or another. Very high level competition. So that certainly helps your case. But let's say you're a wide receiver and you're maybe not at the highest level of competition. You need to be dominant. Let's say you're in the middle of like Illinois. You play for some high school team out there. Maybe it's not 6A, but maybe it's like 4A, 3A, whatever it is. You have to be dominant, lights out, best player on the field every single time you step on the field. And these are the types of plays that you have to make. So for Branch to be able to make these types of plays at a very, very high level of high school football is very, very impressive. And that's why he stands out to so many coaches. And that's why he has a ton of potential and a very, very high ceiling. So if you want to be able to get recruited to play at the next level, you have to make explosive plays, explosive touchdowns, plays where you catch a slant and you turn it up 60 yards, a catch in traffic, a catch while you're getting hit, a jump ball, a deep pass over the shoulders showcasing your speed. Those are the kinds of things that stand out. Nobody wants to see a wide receiver who could catch a wide open post. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If you're wide open by 20 yards and you catch a touchdown, there are thousands of receivers that could do the exact same thing all across the country. So you have to make plays that will make you stand out. And that's why Branch was so heavily recruited and he ended up in that Power 5 USC school. Now, the next couple clips we're going to look at here are clips of his route running in certain one-on-one situations. So again, this is a t-shirt and shorts environment. This is not the most game realistic environment. There's no full defense out there. It's one-on-ones. But I like looking at these examples because you can really see the ins and outs of their route running, how technically sound they are. And Branch is one of the most technically sound wide receivers in that recruiting class. So this is going to be a post route, and he's going to be using a move called a rocker step. Now, this is so important for wide receivers to get down because at the next level, all offenses are starting to switch to that air raid spread system where they're throwing the ball 30 times, 40 times a game. So that means wide receivers are going to get a lot of one-on-one opportunities. And so that we have to make the most of those opportunities. So let's play this full speed and let's watch what he does. So a nice little release off the line, gets the DB to move, stacks the route, and is able to use this rocker step at the break to create separation. So this is one of the best moves that all wide receivers can use and get down. A rocker step can be used on a post, it can be used on a corner, it could be used on an out, or it could be used on a dig. And then sometimes like a fade maybe, where you're trying to slip outside of a zone coverage DB. So Again, what is a rocker step? When you're in man-to-man coverage, obviously you're not counting steps. You're not supposed to be looking down at yardage. When you get to a certain point, when you get to a landmark on the field, that's when you would hit this move. So this move, how you don't get confused, is you want to think you want to step in the direction that you are going first. So it's essentially like a 1-2 at the break point, or a double move, if you will. So what is he trying to sell with this move? He's trying to sell something outside breaking. So if he's running a post, he's going to be trying to sell like he is running a corner. So to have an efficient rocker step, you obviously have to be explosive with the cuts. You have to shoot those feet into the grass, because that is what's going to create energy, help you slow down, but also help you sell it, because when you cut hard, that obviously is going to make you sell in that direction a little bit more. However, a DB in man coverage, which is what you will see a lot of at the next level, and you have to master this if you want to be good against man-to-man coverage, is he is going to be watching what? He's going to be reading your hips. So you have to be able to sell any type of move at the top of the route, whether it is just a single cut or whether it is that rocker step. You have to sell above the waist. You have to sell with your body, not necessarily your feet. So many wide receivers come up to a break point as well, and they'll, reach super far. They'll over-exaggerate the cut, but their hips and shoulders don't do anything. It just stays square the entire time. That is not how you sell your routes and sell movements. Now, the other side of things, wide receivers will overkill it with the shoulders and the head, but not the hips. They'll do a movement, and you see how Branch really sells with his shoulders and with his head, but his hips are also moving as well. Guys will just lean with their head and shoulders. That's only going to get an undisciplined DB. DBs at the next level are very, very talented. This DB who's at this combine is, again, this is one of those combines where, they invite a certain amount of players. These players don't have to pay to be there. They're just there because, they're some of the top recruits in the country. This is probably a very talented DB. And talented DBs are not going to bite on just head and shoulder fakes. They're going to bite on fakes with the entire upper half. So what I tell my wide receivers to do to beat a disciplined DB who's looking at your hips is try to sell it with your hips. You almost want to think when you throw this cut, your belly button is trying to turn towards the front pylon or the sideline. Because if you can turn your belly button, that's going to turn your hips. And if you maintain an explosive spot with your feet, you're not reaching, your toes not pointed way open towards the sideline, you'll be able to sell and get some separation like he does, but also be able to drive out of the break and widen the gap. Because again, it's not just about getting separation, it's also about keeping separation. So guys, you have to be able to master these certain details. There is no such thing as a little thing. All of these little things stacked on top of each other will add up to the bigger picture, and that's being a disciplined and great route runner. So again, now I know this is t-shirt and shorts. Believe me, I get it. This is one-on-ones. I'd like to see him do this in pads, and he does do this in pads. And that's going to be some film we're going to look at in a second here. Some of his best routes while he's in full pads, 11-on-11 game situation. But before we get into that, I want to show one more one-on-one clip because I want to showcase the attention to detail that it takes to get disciplined DBs to bite on routes. Now, this is going to be like kind of an out-and-up route. You might consider this a wheel just because of how long he carries out this 5-yard out. It's not your traditional 3-step out and up break. He takes maybe 5 steps to the sideline, then turns up vertical. But again, the attention to detail is what will get you separation. Because at the end of the day, Branch is probably never seen him run routes in person, seen a lot of film, probably very, very fast, right? And I think anybody that sees those types of high-level guys in person knows okay, they got unreal speed. But when you go play Division I football, everybody on the other side of the ball is just as good of an athlete as you, at least in the secondary, right? You're going up against DBs who are some of the fastest people on earth. And at the Division I level, they're probably good-sized as well. So you cannot just rely on your speed and running around guys. Your attention to detail is what will get you open. So let's watch what he does here on this wheel 5-yard out route. So when it comes to selling a double move, which is what shorter, faster guys are going to have to run a lot of, right? Like you're out of the slot, you're going to have to run a lot of out and ups, corner posts, slant and go, stutter goes, because you're going to use your speed over the top, but we got to get separation to use that speed. So the things that are going to sell a double move, and these are the details. The first thing that everybody loves to talk about is the eyes, right? But as we know, a DB is not supposed to be looking at the eyes of the receiver. If he is, he's undisciplined. We want to be able to snap my eyes inside, but I also want to commit my hips and my shoulders. My body language needs to sell the out route. Now, the other mistakes that wide receivers will make is one, they'll obviously look down. Their hips and shoulders will be already drifting upfield. But another thing will be a change in their stride length. So they'll break to the out route, but because they are preparing for the break point, which is a tough thing to do at times where you're running in full speed and then have to turn up on a double move, they will take choppy strides. They won't gain gain any ground. Fellas, you have to gain ground on a double move because that's how you would actually run the first move. You would actually run out of the break with full stride and try to separate from the DB. That attention to detail, committing your body language, running in full stride, also running full speed is what's going to get this DB to crash, and that is what can get us separation over the top. So that is a textbook out and up or wheel route, if you will, here from Branch. Let's play this again full speed, and then we'll take a look at some routes that he runs when he's in full pads. More importantly, a corner post double move route. Now, I want to showcase to you how it is the exact same thing because, guys, you see it all the time. So many guys, especially like this past, spring, every single year you get the 7-on-7 warriors, the guys who, they got the pit vipers on, the triple sleeves, the high socks, all that stuff. And then when they get into this situation, full pads, all of a sudden they start shrinking back to the back of the line. They don't like contact. They can't do the same things because the pads are on. Pads make them a little slower. They don't have as much range of motion, and they're uncomfortable, and they don't make these big type of plays. Guys, please do not be that receiver. Now, I recommend this for guys. Like, you should train in the offseason with full pads. Like, I think 7-on-7 is very beneficial. I think one-on-ones can be very beneficial, but it's only as beneficial as you make it. You have to make it realistic, and it has to translate. So many people play 7-on-7, do these combines and all this stuff in hopes of getting, I'm going to land an offer, I'm going to get exposure. Like, yeah, maybe you make a big play and you get a couple Instagram followers out of it, but you ain't going to get offered off of 7-on-7 and one-on-ones. You're going to get offered off of actual plays that you make on film. And all these five-star guys, they go to the tournaments, and there's always cameras on them. They make big plays. They stand out, but that's not what gets them recruited. The film does not lie, and you have to be able to make those types of plays when the bright lights are on. So that's what I want to showcase with this. So Branch is here in the slot, and he is running a corner post. I want you to pay attention to his route. Try not to pay attention to the quarterback here. Solely focus on the route. So he comes off, he breaks to the corner, explosive cuts, sells the corner, and obviously makes that DB stumble, and is able to win being double covered. They have a safety over the top, and they're playing this guy in man coverage on him. That is the type of receiver that a college coach is looking for. A guy that can run these types of routes, make these types of plays when full pads are on. Nobody cares what you can do in t-shirt and shorts. This is just a fact of the matter how it is. Wide receivers should train in full pads. You guys should get comfortable doing this stuff in full pads. So again, let's talk about the attention to detail. He breaks to the corner. Again, hard, sudden cut at the top of the route. He doesn't just round it off. He's not running a lazy route. Hard cut, takes 3 hard steps. Again, gaining ground, running in full stride. You see his hips and shoulders are committed to the corner, even when making the guy fall. And that's another way to get that safety to even crash down as well. And he's making that play over the top. That's a textbook corner post. That's exactly how they expect you to run routes with full pads. Even if you could just do it when there's t-shirt and shorts, it does not matter. What can you do when the bright lights are on? All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, we are coming out to 5 more states this year for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver camps. And we have 2 QB and wide receiver coaching clinics for all those coaches out there. So again, very first link in that description below. We'd love to see you out there, fellas. I'll see you guys next time.